Lala, is that one of the Teletubbies?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is your only exposure to Teletubbies, isn't it?
You don't have Teletubbies?
No.
Oh.
You want to read the book again?
Yeah.
Okay. Nana, can you read the book to me?
No.
Oh, Meg's going to read? Okay.
Meg's going to read it to me.
Okay.
Mommy.
Oh, very good. Yep, got it.
No, what are you doing?
Who's in the picture now?
Want to come up? Want to come up?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Where's Lala, Mommy?
Where's Lala?
Right there.
The red one?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
My third one.
My glasses.
I saw this on the page.
Okay, you turn the page.
Can I help?
No, I won't.
Okay. You want to read a story to Caitlin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lala came in.
That's Lala.
No, I told it's you.
I think that's Poe.
No,
Yeah.
take this,
Yeah.
Lala.
Now Lala is in the red. I mean in the yellow.
Why?
Turn the next page and I think you'll find Lala.
Okay.
Hi.
Where's Lala? Right there? Right there?
Yeah, that's Lala right there.
Where's Peggy?
Lala should be right in there in that bed, and the bed's empty, so Lala is gone. You gotta find her.
Hey! My kid did this, almost did it.
What do you think? There she is.
No!
She's playing with a ball.
Hey.
Where's Peggy, Mommy?
What?
Where's Peggy?
Oh, yeah. Is that yellow?
Yeah, Lala and the pig right there.
Okay.
Who's the next one?
Oh, honey. The possible. Woo.
Hi, Caden. Can you smile?
Smile
Oh.
for Mama. Smile for Mama. Come on.
The piggy.
You can smile.
Yeah.
Can't ya?
Yay.
Yay.
Piggy, Mommy.
I see it.
Say hi, Mama.
Hey,
Say hi, Mama.
Hey, Mommy's over here.
You going over there?
Don't get too far away, because then Mama can't take your picture.
There we go, Mommy.
Okay.
The piggy.
Do you want to sit?
Where is me?
You want to sit down?
It's much more fun to
Where's
stand.
me?
What?
What's this? What's this?
Who's that?
Yeah.
That's Lala, isn't it? I think it's Lala.
Where's
Is it?
this, Lala?
Okay.
Says, are you in the next other page?
Okay, you almost at the end?
No, I didn't.
Okay, keep going.
That's Poe.
That's Paul.
Okay.
Yeah. The red one is Poe. The yellow one is Lala. Who's the green one?
Told you you're asking the wrong person.
Where's my piggy?
Hey, you're moving out of my picture.
I don't get this.
Oh, Caitlin wants to look at it too.
I told her, Kaden.
All right.
I don't want you to have it.
How about you get to the end so we can say the end?
Okay. Hey!
Hey. Finish it up.
She's not doing any harm. Go ahead.
Lala. Hey!
Hey.
Hey!
Hey! Hey! What? What's happening?
What happened?
How about we do a new book?
When she finishes her bottle.
Is Caitlin having her bubba? Yeah.
There we go.
There she
It's a
is.
Pinky.
There she is playing with her ball.
Oh, yeah.
What's on this side of the page?
So, Nana,
Yeah.
tell me about your earliest memory.
I already told you.
Well, tell me again.
No.
Do you want me to start with a different question?
Do you want me to repeat what I told you before?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. The earliest thing I can remember is Daddy putting up a swing on the porch, on the front porch, so that I would have something to play with.
Great. And you thought you were about 3 or 4 then?
Probably about 4.
Great.
A Pinky. There I am.
Yeah.
And how did you feel about being the youngest of 4?
This on the page.
The baby.
Apple. Apple.
With 4, you're counting Loretta, right?
Well, no, just you're 4. There are 4 kids in your family, so right?
Yeah, but I'm the 4th
Right.
of my family.
right.
Oh, so you want to know how it felt to be the youngest of all the kids?
Yes.
Okay. Good. I think I was probably spoiled. Not a whole lot, but enough. And the thing is, they were older and they had to do chores and things which I didn't have to do, which was kind of nice. But I didn't realize it at the time.
Yep. Were you close to any one of your siblings in particular?
There I am. There I am.
I was
There I
closer to my brother,
May?
Bud.
Meg? Closest to Bud?
Bud, yeah. Because if there was a problem, he always took my side.
One really days. There I am.
He and Kay would fight, and he and Stell would fight.
Yay!
But I never got into it because I was the youngest.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, I'm picking go away. Go was you.
What was your favorite class
Go
in
with
school?
And
My favorite class?
What did you like?
You mean subject-wise?
Yeah.
Or which one did I have?
the fox.
Subject-wise, what did you like to learn about?
Oh, I was... I think I was probably better at English than anything else. I was pretty good at spelling
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of thing.
Did you like to write?
Yeah, I did like to write. I wasn't very good at creative writing, but
No one wants to have one.
Hey, over this way, please.
I liked it.
I had that one. Have that one.
Yeah, please.
I think my worst subject was math.
Really?
In the lower grades, math was easier, but when it got up into the higher grades, then it was harder, and I didn't like it as well.
Yeah. Did teachers take girls seriously in school when you were there? Did they treat your education as important as the education of the boys?
Probably not, but I really don't think we were that aware of it at the time. But when you look back on these things, I think that was probably true. But as I say, it didn't mean anything at that point.
Yep. Did you have a particular teacher that was your favorite?
Yeah, my English teacher. I liked her the best.
What about how old were you at that point?
I was probably in 7th grade.
Do you remember what, was it a her? Do you remember what
It was
her name was?
her. I can't remember her name. Sorry.
What did you like about her?
She was interesting. She had us do interesting things, write about interesting things, and I don't.
Okay.
I don't know what else.
What about your friends? Were you friends with the same people all the way through your childhood, or did you have different friends at different ages?
Yeah, because I didn't see the same ones. I didn't go to the same schools all the time with the ones. In the lower grades, I went to the Chestnut Hill School, and there weren't many kids in my area that went to that school
Why did you go there?
because that was my neighborhood school, and we didn't have a choice.
But a lot of the kids you were friends with weren't in that particular neighborhood, that street or whatever.
No, so they didn't live there.
Okay.
They lived, well, like Osty's sister Mill lived up near the square. She lived up near the railroad tracks. And so she went to different schools. She went to a school that was in the middle of the town.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't until we got to be in the higher grades and we walked to school that we went to a school that was that we walked to the school and we met the kids there, and
Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of kids that I knew from there. High school, as far as kids were concerned, was more fun. Because in the lower grades there weren't that many kids. I went to a 2-room schoolhouse and there were 4 grades.
Oh wow.
First and second grade was in one room, and third and fourth grade was in another.
Oh. Yeah, so there must not have been many kids.
No, and there were 2 teachers, one for the first and second grade and one for third and fourth.
Yep.
So,
Neat.
yeah. Which was kind of fun in a way, but kind of not so much fun.
Then did you go to a different school for 5th grade through when?
5th and 6th grade was intermediate school, and then 7th and 8th was junior high, and 9 through 12 was high school.
Did you go to the same Reading High School that's there now, or was it a different building?
It's, what's the matter? Huh? I think the high school's the same.
I know that Tom and I looked at condos that were in a school that you were at. Which school was that?
That was the high school.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that was our old high school. You're right, I had forgotten about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did you actually go on a tour of that building when they converted it?
Yes. Yeah, and it was fun because people that didn't go to school there, but they came to look it over and everything, and we talked with some people, and they were surprised that we had gone to school there.
Yep.
Mill, I think, went with me.
Okay. So you mentioned Mill is one of your friends. When did she become one of your friends?
In high school.
In high school?
Yeah.
So 9th grade?
Yes.
Who else were you friends with?
Evie McLeod, Mary Bronk, Marjorie Batchelor. There was a lot of them.
Would you have considered yourself popular in high school?
Not really, because I didn't belong to the league. Like I wasn't a cheerleader, or I wasn't in any of those groups, And there were groups that I don't know. They were cliquey.
Right.
And I wasn't in that. And the kids that I was friendly with, they weren't in it either.
Yeah.
So,
What kind of what kind of things did you do with your friends when you were in high school? What kind of places did you go?
do you mean,
Excuse me. Caitlin's scooting all over.
What do you mean? Things in school or out of school?
No, outside school. What kind of things did you do on a weekend, or did you tend to go out only on weekends? Did you go out during the week?
I really didn't go out much during the week because we were all separated. And so that by the time we got home from school,
In what way were you separated?
well, because we lived in different sections. Like I lived in one section
Okay.
down near the Stoneham line, and Mill lived up in up near the center.
Okay, so you took like different.
Yeah, so we
Ways
really
home.
didn't see each other too much. During the week, but then on weekends we'd plan things. We'd go to the movies,
Yep.
or Mill and I would meet and walk up to the other end of town and meet a couple of the kids up there. And
What kind of things did you?
nothing
Yeah.
very exciting.
There's a lot of today's kids like hang out at the mall. They didn't know if there were going.
We didn't have a mall.
Right. So
Want
what?
to read it? Okay.
But we would meet
I
in
have-
Reading Square
You want me to show
at
with me?
the library wall. There was a wall in front of the library. It's still there.
They pull up on my
And we
shoe.
used, what's the matter?
They didn't pull up on my shoe.
What?
They pull up my shoe.
Oh,
in
okay. That's
in my
okay. She just
pants.
spit up a little bit.
Oh, did she spit up on
Just
her
a
shoe?
little bit.
Oh, okay.
You need a burpee. So you'd meet on the wall of the library?
Yeah.
Neat.
Look.
Did
And sometimes we, if it was the right season, we'd go to football games or we'd go to basketball games.
I have paper towel.
how about a tissue? What kind? You mentioned sports.
I have a bottle.
Hmm?
The bottle.
No.
Hi.
I'm all set with that. Thank you.
I have
No, you have your Bubba.
It's a done.
Okay. Attack of the children! Attack of the children! Hey! Hey! Alright, I guess I should take that as a sign that that's enough for today,
Oh,
huh?
no, don't.
Today is June 29th, and I wanted to thank you, Mom, for agreeing to answer some questions. Hopefully this will be the first of a few.
If I can.
Yep, recording things. And the goal is just, I know how much you loved writing down questions about your background and your history and stuff, so this seemed like a less painful route to get the same information.
Well, we'll give it a shot.
Alright. Let's start with an easy one. What's your full name?
Mildred, Janet. Maiden name or married?
Well, both.
Oh, Mildred Janet Faulkner was my maiden name,
Mm-hmm.
and Mildred Janet Bennett is my married name.
Great. Were you named after anybody? Is there a story behind Mildred or Janet?
Janet was a middle name from Aunt Jenny. That's where I got the Janet from. The Mildred, I think, was from a, if I remember correctly, it was from a friend of Jenny's that she grew up with and hung around with as they got older. But that was her name, and for some reason or other they gave it to me.
Do you like your name?
No.
Why not?
I like the Janet, but I don't like the Mildred. It's, I don't know, it's just not a very comfortable name.
In what way?
It wasn't when I was a kid.
Too grown up, like, or
No, it was
too
just
formal?
it was just an odd name. It wasn't a comfortable name. It wasn't a name that a lot of people had at that. It was kind of odd. And so I felt as if another name would have been nicer.
Where were you born?
I was born in Stoneham at the New England Sanitarium.
Were you told any stories about your birth or anything, or when you came home?
No, not really. Sorry about that. I should have probably asked Mum some things about it, but I didn't.
Just didn't know if there's probably going to be some questions I asked that don't apply.
Yeah, no, I was the youngest, so that nobody really paid too much attention, I don't think.
What is your birthday?
March 30th, 1924.
Tell me about your parents. What are their names?
My mother was Mary Grant Nelder. That was her maiden name. And my father was James Everett Faulkner.
What comes to mind when you think of them? Take one at a time.
Mom cooked a lot. She worked hard in the house. She washed floors, she washed woodwork and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what else to say about her except she was a great lady. Daddy worked outside a lot. He had a big garden. He had chickens. On top of working, at a job.
Were they born in America?
No, they were both born in Canada. My mother on Prince Edward Island, and my father in Nova Scotia.
Did they meet there and move here? Or?
No, they met down here. My mother came down with two of her sisters and went to work at a school, a boys' school, and
What kind of work, do you know?
they waited on table. That's about
Good.
That's about
Yeah.
it. And my father, don't know what he did when he first came down. He eventually went to work at Schrapp's, the candy place, and he worked there a long time. But before then, I'm not sure when he first came down what he did.
Do you know what he did at Traps?
Yeah, I know he used to bring home delicious candy. 5-pound boxes of loose chocolates. And they were so good.
Worked on the assembly line.
No,
That's okay. It's okay.
No, it wasn't on the assembly line. It just, I think he was in charge of people who were on the assembly line.
Okay,
you know
like
what
a
I mean?
supervisor.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
It's not great, but it's the best I can do. I'm sorry.
Did you ever get a sense that both of their parents stayed in Canada? Did you ever get a sense that either of them felt isolated or
You mean the
alone
parents
here?
or my mother and father?
No, Nana and Grant.
No, because Nana's sister Jenny went back home after they worked here for a while. She went back home and took care of their mother.
Okay.
And so that took the brunt of it off of my mother's shoulders, because my mother was married at that point and had Stell and I think Bud. And so that meant that she didn't have to take responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you want to know about my father? About Daddy?
Yeah, just you had mentioned that you didn't have relationships with any of your grandparents.
No. Dad went home a couple of times when there were things to take care of up there, but they didn't come down. Dad and one of his brothers went up and took care of arrangements up there for their folks.
Were there any how many brothers and sisters did your mom have?
Annie and Etta.
You can say that out loud.
Annie and Etta and Jenny and Mom. I think there were 4 girls and 2 boys. And then there was a stepsister, a half-sister or a stepsister or whatever. That was Blanche.
And that was because your grandmother's husband died.
Right.
Do you know anything about that? So that would have been your grandfather.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But I never met any of them.
Yep.
And I think who came? Somebody came, I remember. Maybe it was well, this is going to sound terrible on the tape. I think maybe it was my father's father, mother and father, that came and visited at one time. I can vaguely remember elderly people coming and sitting in the dining room, at the dining room table.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it must have been Dad's mother and father, because my mother's mother, I think she would have been too old to come down. And my mother's father had passed away and left the mother as a widow. So that's when Jenny went back home.
Okay.
That's as far as I
Yep.
can
No, that's
recollect. But I was very, very tiny then.
how old was Nana when she had you? Was your mom when she had? Do you know?
I could look it up, but I really don't know.
Okay. She had her
Because
kids.
I know when I was born, and I know when she was born.
Well, we can do this. So Nan was born in 1890, right?
Could be.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
in
pretty
my
sure it is.
pocketbook.
And
I was
Which
born
year?
in 24.
okay, so would she have been 34?
Sounds
Possible.
logical.
So tell me about your brothers and sisters. You said you were the youngest.
Yes, I had 2 sisters and a brother, and they're all gone now. My oldest sister was Estelle, and then 2 years later was We called him Bud, but he was actually a junior, so he was Everett Junior. And for some reason or other, I don't know whether it was Stell that couldn't say that, and so he became Buddy. But I think it was something like that, and I think it was Stell that, because they were fairly close of an age. And Catherine was 3 years later. She was 5 years younger than Stell.
Okay.
And then I came along.
You must have been about 5 years younger than.
And I
Than
think
Kay?
I was, yeah. Yes, I was 5 years younger than Kay because there was 10 years between Stell and I.
Yep.
That I remember.
Were you closer to any of them when you were little? Because there's quite an age
Bud.
gap there. Really.
Yeah. Bud always stuck up for me. Stell and Catherine used to fight an awful lot. They fought over clothes, they fought over everything. Kay figured I was just to run her errands for her. She'd come down from upstairs. We had a 2-story house. This was in Reading. And she'd come down from upstairs, and she'd just get down at the foot of the stairs and she'd say, Minnow, which was the
What did they call you?
Minnow.
Minna?
Minnow, run up and get my book. And I had to run upstairs and get her book. And then she'd be sitting somewhere reading and she'd say, Minnow, go get me a glass of water. But she was a terror that way.
What would happen if you didn't? Did you ever not do it, or was it just, of course you're going to do it?
I just automatically did it. At some point, I think I said to my mother, "Do I have to do that?" And she said, "Oh, don't cause me trouble." That was Nana's theory. Don't cause trouble. So,
Yeah.
but Kay and Stell used to fight all the time. But see, Stell worked, and so she had some money to buy clothes and things. Catherine was still in school. So after Stell would go off to work, Kay would go up and rummage through her closet and take some of her things to wear. And so after a while, Stell kind of figured this out, and she used to put pins at different places in her dresses and things. And when she'd come home, if they weren't in the same place, then she knew Kay had taken them.
How did Nana deal with the two of them?
I think Nana just let them fight it out.
So I just know she didn't like fighting.
She didn't like fighting, but she didn't get involved in it. So Bud was my ally. He didn't see why I had to wait on Kay and everything, and he'd get involved in it, and sometimes that would cause another fight among those two, because Kay figured he could mind his own business. So, but he didn't see any reason why I should have to run errands for Kay. In her later years, she probably didn't remember a lot of that, but I did.
What games did you play when you were younger? Did you play with your sisters at all, or your siblings at all?
We used to play cards around the dining room table. We'd play hearts.
So who would play?
Mama and Catherine, Stell if she was around, and Loretta when she would come. So we'd have a good time.
Tell me about Loretta.
Tell you about Loretta. She used to go out with Kay.
Who's whose daughter is Loretta?
Loretta was Eda's. Her mother's name was Loretta, and but they called her Eda, and she died when Loretta was young, and so Aunt Jenny brought up Loretta.
Was Aunt Jenny married?
No, Aunt Jenny never married. Oh, did she?
But when she had Loretta, she wasn't married.
She wasn't married. I don't know whether in her earlier years she had been married and it just didn't work out. I have a feeling that was the case, and she never remarried. There was a man, Mom used to talk about this man, and I don't remember his name, but he was in love with Jenny and he wanted to marry her, but she wouldn't. Because I think she had a bad experience with the man she did marry.
Mm-hmm.
And so she wasn't about to get involved again.
So was Loretta an only child then?
No, Loretta had a brother that we called Junior, so he must have been named after his father, Albert. He must have been named after Albert. And but we called him Junior, and he lived with Loretta and Jenny when they lived down in Stoneham. And Junior used to walk up to our house and sit on the porch. And he died very young of leukemia.
Like
he was
in
a
his
handsome boy.
teens or younger or
Late
older?
teens, early 20s. But he was a terrific young boy.
Was Loretta's father alive in their life at all?
The father, yes. The mother, no.
Well, their mother died.
The mother died. But Albert was alive, and Albert remarried to a woman in Stoneham called May. I don't know what her last name was. And trying to think how old the kids were when he died.
But they didn't go back, when he remarried, they didn't go back and live with him.
No. And I'm not sure. I know Loretta lived with May for a while. See, I've probably got this chronology all wrong. But then Albert died, and Loretta stayed with May for a while. But Junior was gone at that point.
But so Jenny pretty much raised Loretta.
Jenny pretty much did. And then when Albert married May, I think that Jenny went home to Canada because Grammy needed her at that point. Mm-hmm. And then when Grammy died, Jenny came back down here and took Loretta, because Loretta wasn't happy with May. I didn't know May that much, but I know Loretta wasn't happy with her. So I think she went to live with Jenny. Kind of a screwed up.
Well, that's a lot of loss for someone to experience so early in life. You know,
Who?
Loretta.
Oh.
A lot of change.
Yeah, there was a lot of change. And,
so did she live with you guys for a while?
She lived with Mom, and when she was young. And that's why there's so many pictures in that album of Stell and Bud and Loretta.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was living with Mom at the time.
So, Loretta was younger than Stell, but older than Kay?
Yeah. She was younger than Stell and Bud.
Okay.
But older than Kay. Exactly.
Did either your parents have like a saying or anything that that you tend to remember them saying?
I don't think so, Kim. I can't recall.
No, that's fine. Do you remember any stories that they told you about when they were children, or the things that they had witnessed growing up.
I don't remember Dad ever saying anything about that. Mom used to talk mostly about when she and her sisters came down from Canada and they worked at the school.
Mm-hmm.
It was a private boys' school, and I think she used to say some of the boys were pretty spoiled. And then they would go out a lot, she and her sisters, and they'd go to dances and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know a whole lot more than that.
Do you have a sense of how Nana would describe her childhood and growing up as being middle class or not very well off or wealthy?
Excuse me. They weren't wealthy by any chance, by any means, because their mother was a widow when they were growing up, and then she married again, and they probably weren't exactly poor, but they weren't well off.
Mm-hmm.
Grammy made a lot of their clothes and things, and she knitted their socks and mittens and all that kind of stuff because it was cold in the winter up there.
Yep. When you think about their relationship, your parents' relationship, would you describe it as warm or formal or loving?
Mom, I don't know whether to call her Mom or Nana.
Yeah.
I think she was very fond of Dad, more so maybe than he was. I don't think he was, what would you call it?
Demonstrative? Or...
Yeah, and I don't know, I just don't think that he was a loving kind of a guy,
Mm-hmm.
you know? I think he was fine as far as Mom was concerned. I mean, he didn't abuse her or hurt her or anything, but I don't know as he showed a whole lot of affection
Mm-hmm.
for her. But I think Mom was more affectionate than he was.
If she wasn't getting the affection there, did she use you kids as an outlet for?
No.
She wasn't very affectionate with you guys?
Oh yes, she was, but I never blamed it on the fact of lack of affection.
Oh yeah, no, okay.
From Dad, you know. And she never indicated one way or the other about lack of affection from him, but she was very affectionate with us.
Was your dad?
Not so much the old ones. I think I was more of a favorite of his than the others were. He and Bud didn't get along because he kind of wanted Bud to do things his way, and he didn't have much patience if Buddy didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall him fighting with the girls or not, but as I say, I think he was more involved with me than he was with the others.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any memories of him playing with you or teaching you things or how to ride a bike or reading with you or playing games with you?
No, he wasn't that type,
Mm-hmm.
but he did get me things when I wanted it, like I wanted a bicycle,
Mm-hmm.
and he eventually bought me a bicycle. But I was older when I got a bike. By the time I got the bike, I really didn't want it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was either in junior high or early high school, when he finally decided he could get me a bike. And by that time, I was too old for a bike. Nobody was riding a bike at that point. I wanted oh, Kim, this is terrible. Record player.
Like a stereo?
Well, we didn't have
right,
stereo
yeah,
then.
right.
But I wanted something to play records on.
Okay.
And he thought that that was pretty ridiculous, seeing as how I had all these years I had wanted a bicycle, and then when I had the opportunity to get it, I didn't want it anymore. Well, that's life, I think, and that's kids.
Tell me about your house growing up.
Tell me about the house growing up.
Were you in the same house the whole time?
Yes, I only lived in Reading. The others lived in Brighton and other places when they were growing up. But by the time I came along, I just lived in Reading.
Tell me about the house.
Tell you about the house. It's still there. It had a great big porch on the front that was screened in the summertime. And I had a swing on the porch that was kind of fun. Then when you went through the front door, the stairs went up to the upstairs, and there were 2 bedrooms up there. And when I was growing up, Bud had 1 bedroom, the one on the front, and the 3 of us girls had the back bedroom. I slept with Stell, and Kay had her own bed on the other side of the room. And Stell wasn't happy with me because I wet the bed. So, then downstairs, when you came down the stairs, the living room was there. And it was a big, long living room that went the whole, I shouldn't probably do that, went the whole front of the house. And then at one point, Daddy blocked it off halfway so that there was a living room, and then there was like a den in the back. And there was a sofa like that. And that's where the telephone record player, a big one, that you'd crank up and put the records on.
Okay.
You probably have never seen one like that. And then to come back to when you come down the stairs and the living room was there, then you went beyond it to a dining room. And that's where the dining room table was, and china closet. And there was a doorway out of the dining room with stairs that went down to the cellar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we had a dog, and the dog used to sleep down in the cellar at night.
What was the dog's name?
June.
What kind of dog was it? Was it a big dog?
It was a black and white setter, English setter. And we had a number of dogs over the years, but that one I remember most of all. When I was little, when I was a baby, we had a dog that didn't like me. He was jealous.
Mm.
And Mom caught him one time in my crib, laying on top of my face.
Oh.
He's trying to smother me. And but he didn't know any better. But anyway, then the dining room, and then there was a doorway going off left, and that was the kitchen. Originally, that was the kitchen. And we had a black stove, one of those old-fashioned black stoves, and there was a little porch going off there where there was not a refrigerator, an ice box. And the ice guy used to come down and we'd get a block of ice and put it in the top, and that was how we kept things cold. Then eventually Daddy built a new kitchen off of the dining room, straight through. Dining room, a kitchen, and a bathroom, and a pantry.
Mm-hmm.
And then he turned the old kitchen into a bedroom for he and Mom.
I was going to ask, where did they sleep? Because you didn't mention a bedroom downstairs.
Yeah. Well, they I think before he blocked off part of the living room, their bedroom was in that part of the living room.
In the back part of the living room?
Yeah, in the back part of the living room. To have slept in the further part of the living room.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, then he built. They took over the old kitchen for a bedroom, and he built a new kitchen and a bathroom and a pantry, and stairs going down, a back door and stairs going down that end of the house.
Was there a bathroom upstairs with your
No.
bedrooms?
Nope, there was only the one.
What did you do before he built the bathroom downstairs?
It was off of the old kitchen.
Okay. So you built a new bathroom, but there had been one done there?
Yeah, there had been one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the old kitchen. It was off of the old kitchen, out almost onto a back porch-like thing, where not the refrigerator, the
Icebox.
icebox. Thank you. Was.
Ask another question. Are you trying to think of something?
No. I was trying to think. When they converted the old kitchen into a bedroom for Mom and Dad, there was a shower. He built a shower off of the dining room, and before you got into their bedroom, a shower. And I'm trying to think what was there before. That wouldn't have been where the bathroom was, I don't think. It's possible. I'll have to think about that a little bit. It's possible that that's where the bathroom went. No, because there wasn't room in there for a tub or anything.
Okay. You can think about it.
I'll have to think about that, Kim. I'm sorry.
At what point did you get your own room? I have to think as people started moving out with you as the youngest, you probably eventually wound up with.
Yeah, then I'm trying to think whether I took Buddy's room, whether I took the back rooms. After Stell got married.
How old were you when she was married, approximately? Were you a teenager or younger? Do you remember her wedding?
No. Do I remember her wedding? What do I remember about Stell? I'm not sure. I remember Stell's or Catherine's. I remember Bud's, but I don't remember how old I was. I think I was in high school when Bud got married. Catherine, Stell. When did Stell marry Per? I don't remember. I wasn't that old. No, because I'm trying to think how old Cindy is. Isn't that awful? I can't remember. As I say, I remember when Bud got married, but I can't remember when Stell or Catherine got married. I mean, and even where they got married. That's the thing that bothers me. Why can't I remember where they got married?
Do you think you were young? Just pretty young?
Probably, but you'd think I'd have some recollection. Cindy might know where her mother got married. It might have been something that she
Mm-hmm.
asked her about. And I could always find out from Debbie if she
Yeah. No, I was just trying to get a sense of what you know, how old you were. Were you still really young? Because there's such a big age difference between the two of you.
the 10 years between Stella and I.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's quite possible that you were, if she got married fairly young,
She did get married fairly young.
so you could have been around 10, so 10, 12, something like that.
But you'd think I'd have some recollection of where it took place.
Hmm.
This is the thing I can't remember. And even where Kay and Bev got married. And I should know that. And as I say, the only one I can remember was Bud.
So was getting your own room a big deal, or getting your own bed a big deal?
Oh, I just... Sorry, I didn't think of that. Yeah, well, Kay was still at home when Stell got married.
Mm-hmm.
So she had a bed in the back room.
Yep.
I had the one that Stell and I used to sleep in. And she still had the other one. And Bud still had
His room?
the front bed.
Yep.
Front bedroom. Then Bud got married next. And Kay wanted his room. So I had the back room to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And she took over Bud's room. Then when Kay got married, I took over Bud's room. Nobody wanted the back room. The front room was cozier and it was cooler because there were trees around it.
Mm-hmm.
You could open the windows at night onto that were over the porch, like, and it was fine. But I can't put a date to any of those.
That's fine. Did everybody sit around the table for dinner? Was dinner a big deal? Did when your dad came home from work, was that an important time for your family?
I don't know how important it was, but it was something we always did. We always ate dinner together.
Mm-hmm.
The only time we wouldn't was if one of them were going out somewhere and had other plans. But for the most part, we all ate. Nana up at the head of the table, Dad down at the foot, and we sat along the sides. But we always had dinner together.
You mentioned an Iceman coming to the house. Did you have a milkman as well, or anybody else make deliveries?
Yeah, we had milkman who left quarts of milk on the front steps, and the Iceman would come around to the back and put it in the icebox. Thank you. I have a mental block with that thing. And there used to also be a Cushman's baker. They used to deliver, and you'd have a card that you'd put in the window if you wanted them. You did that for the milk too. And the Mom cooked a lot. I mean, she baked a lot. She baked bread and she baked things like that. But every once in a while, she would buy something from Cushman's baker. And we used to love that. Much as we liked Nana's cooking, we thought bakery cakes and things were the cat's meow.
Was there a big lawn? Were there flower beds? You mentioned your dad liked to garden.
Dad did vegetable gardening.
Okay.
No, we had a very short lawn, front lawn. Most people did in those days. They didn't have the
Mm-hmm.
big lawns, and there was a mailbox there, and there was a cement walk going up, and about 4 stairs going up to the porch. But it was a very short lawn. Then there was a side lawn that went from the edge of the porch down to the driveway,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was a driveway that went around and back to a barn.
Oh. You mentioned chickens.
Yep, we had chickens. There was a big barn in the back, and then there were chicken coops for quite a way, probably about 4 pens of chickens. And then down a way, there was a big chicken coop that in later years, after we stopped having chickens, Bud used to use for a clubhouse with he and his friends. But in the early days, it was a chicken coop, and we used to go down there and collect the eggs.
Did you sell them, or was it mostly for your own use?
No, we sold them. Yeah, we had a lot of, not a lot, but we had several customers. Daddy would deliver them,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I'd go with him and deliver them. Some of our customers were in Stoneham, and some in Reading, some right in the neighborhood. Yeah, we had quite a few customers.
What were did you have like typical chores that you were responsible for?
Dishes, and I used to help Mom do what do you call it? Mom made 3 loaves of bread every day, and the flour had to be mixed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would help do that because she was allergic to the flour.
Mm-hmm.
And she had problems with that, so I used to, when I'd come home from school, the loaves that she had made during the day would be all done. And, that hot bread coming out of the oven with the butter that melted on it was so good. Loretta can tell you about that too.
Mm-hmm.
She used to love that. Then, that evening, I would, and I don't know what you call it, it was a big pot thing, and it had this thing that went down inside it that would mix the, I don't know whether they have anything like that anymore, but
You know that you're asking the wrong person. So.
yes, I know, Darwin. But anyway, I used to mix the flour for her, and then she'd put it in 2 ball-like things
Mhm.
in the black pan, and put it on she'd do 3 of those and put it on the end of the stove and cover it over with a cloth
So it would rise.
so it would rise, yeah. And then in the morning, she would beat it down, but that didn't bother her because it wasn't the loose flour at that point.
Mm-hmm.
She would mix them up or whatever, and they would set again, and then she'd put them in the oven and bake them.
So were the 3 loaves a day, was that all for your family to eat?
Yeah.
You mentioned the music player. Was music a big part of the family? Was it something you listened to a lot?
No, not really. I don't know that Stell and Kay were all that involved in it, or Bud either. I had some old records, and I don't know where they came from, to tell you the truth. But the great big
Mm-hmm.
38s, were they? And some of them were real old. Then they were plastic records too, and those were real old.
They played on the same machine.
Yeah, played on the same machine. I loved that old machine. I don't know what happened to it.
Did you say you had a radio as well?
We had a radio, yeah.
Did you listen? Were there certain programs that you always?
Yeah, there was a, oh gosh, it was a, almost like that,
Which is the desk that you're
the
playing
desk. Yeah, we do. There was some good programs on back in those days, but let's see, I forgot where I was. I'm trying to think of the things that we heard on there. On the old radio, we heard. Who was the one that used to have the amateur hour? Ed Sullivan's amateur hour,
Mhm.
and like that. We'd listen to that, and we'd listen to the news. There wasn't a whole lot of programs on, but we enjoyed what there was.
Mhm.
That was our radio. We didn't have individual ones.
Do you have any memories of your parents buying something big that they always wanted, like a washing machine or a car? I don't know when you would have had your first television.
Oh, when the only television set was like a 12-inch one,
Mm-hmm.
the first ones that came out. A friend of Dad's who worked with him in Taunton.
Is this at Shaft still, or
Excuse me?
is that at Shaft still, or someplace else? The candy or
Oh,
drug-
Schrafft's?
Schrafft's.
Oh no, this was they worked at Bacon Felt.
What is?
It was a company that I'm not exactly sure what they made, but I know that they moved. They originally were in Stoneham, and Daddy worked there, and then they changed. They moved to Taunton. And if Daddy wanted to continue to work for them, he had to move to Taunton.
Mm-hmm.
So that took that thing, and now I'm off kilter again.
But anyway, so TV.
TV. Oh, so anyway, this fellow that he worked with, Ernest, I can't remember what his last name was, he had a daughter, but he was divorced. So he and Dad got friendly through Bacon Felt. And so he'd come up and bring his daughter and visit with Dad and whatever. Anyway, when the first television sets came out, he bought one and he gave it to Dad. And so that's how we had our first television set. It was black and white, and it was only about this big.
Mm-hmm.
And but it was interesting.
Any sense of how old you were?
When we got that, I was probably in high school, maybe.
Is there any place around your house that has particularly fond memories for you growing up? Like a certain room that you felt very comfortable in, or?
You mean the house in Reading?
Yeah.
Well, let's see now. What do I remember as having fond memories? I remember like the porch, because I spent a lot of time out there. And then we had a fireplace that Daddy built out in the middle of the backyard, and we'd cook out there. I don't know that the living room or the bedroom or the kitchen were that big a deal, you know. It was mostly things outside that I remember. No, sorry. That one I missed.
No, you didn't. You answered
One
great.
of many.
You answered great. Were books a big deal growing up?
I didn't have too many books. We were quite away from the library. I mean, school books and things I had, and I think probably Kay and Stell would buy magazines and things or whatever and bring them home. And so I had access to some of those. But as far as we were too far away to walk to the library, and so I didn't have access to those kind of books. And I'm not sure school books were all that interesting.
Yep.
Not really. I don't remember sitting down and reading like a library book.
Yep. I asked you this about Nana, whether you thought she would consider when she grew up being, well off or middle class or, or not so well off. How would you feel about you growing up?
We didn't have a whole lot. We weren't poor, if you know what I mean. We didn't lack for a whole lot of things.
There weren't times when you felt like you were going to go hungry or didn't have the clothes that fit, or...
Oh, I could have used a few more clothes than what I had. I had to thank Stell mostly for that, because she was working and she had money, and she would buy me some things. But I didn't have an abundance of clothes. I didn't have... there were kids that I went to school with that were a lot fancier dressed than I was. But there were a lot of kids my age that didn't have any more than what I had, too. So it wasn't something that I really felt as if I was destitute for things, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So I don't know how to tell you, except that I had clothes to wear, I had shoes on my feet. I didn't have a lot of pairs, but I had a pair of decent shoes that weren't run down or whatever. So I suppose you can thank your lucky stars for that.
Did you have particular toys that have very fond memories?
Yes, and for a long time I was very upset with my father. Loretta's father made me a dollhouse. That was a replica of our house in Reading. It had the porch on the front, and it had a room, not a door, but one side of the dollhouse opened up, and inside were 4 rooms, and a kitchen and a living room and 2 bedrooms upstairs. And there was real glass in the windows, and I think May wallpapered the walls on the inside. I dearly loved that. And then I also had a Shirley Temple doll that Kay bought me when Shirley Temple first came out. Those were, and then, did I ever tell you about Mrs. Foss, who lived down the street in the corner house?
I don't think so.
On the other end of the garden that we had. It was a small house. It's still there too. And my father built that for them.
Mm.
And Mr. and Mrs. Foss moved out. They didn't have any children. They had a niece, and she used to come out, and I would play with her at that point. But anyway,
I think you're with what happened to your toys.
oh, with my toys, yeah. So, that was the thing. There was a beautiful doll that Mrs. Foss gave me one year for Christmas, and she had made all these clothes. I remember there was a green velvet coat and hat trimmed with white fur that I was very fond of. And anyway, those were my main toys that I remember from growing up. And when Dad figured that I was too old to play with them anymore, he gave them away to friends of his from Taunton that he got friendly with when they moved down there.
Mm-hmm.
But I was very upset.
How old were you?
I probably was old enough that there was no reason for me to play with them anymore, but they were just something that I wanted to keep.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't seem to think that that was necessary.
Did he ask you, or did he tell you, or did you just come home and they were gone?
I think they were just gone. And when I asked where they were, he said he had given them away. He said, "Why, you didn't play with them anymore?" So, but took me a long time to get over that. I figured I probably was being silly about the whole thing, but I wasn't. It wasn't that I wanted to play with them. I just wanted to keep them.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were keepsakes.
Mm.
And I always felt bad that I wasn't allowed to do that.
Mm.
So, and the thing was, the woman told Mama that they didn't really want those things, but it was too late to take them back.